Howdy folks, Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And today's video we're going to talk about Season 3 of Stranger Things. And this is going to be my review. So, just finished watching Season 3, or as they call it, just Stranger Things 3. And then each episode is a chapter, I guess. So, that's the way they do it. And I will say that I enjoyed the season just as much as I've enjoyed the others. Well, maybe not quite to that same level as I did the other two, only because of a couple little things, but pretty much, you know, right up there. And of course, everybody's going to have their little things that they take exception with and so forth, and I'm no different. But overall, it was very entertaining, just like the other seasons were. I kept, you know, I was wanting to watch the next episode. You know, I wanted to binge it because I wanted to see what's happening next, you know. So they had me. And, oh, and by the way, if I haven't already said this, this is completely full of spoilers. So I put it in the title, but in case you didn't see it, I'm just saying it right here. Complete all the spoilers. We're going to talk about them. So here we go. So having said all of that, I liked one particular thing that they did. I liked it very much. I liked the fact that they did not have 11 be the one that saved everybody. And when you think about it, for the third season, that kind of should go without saying. I mean, so it was the logical route to go. However, we do know other franchises and other creators and stuff like the producers and stuff like that would have went for the low-hanging fruit and just made it the same formula as before. But they didn't do that. They made, speaking in like D&D terms, at least the ones I use, in this episode, in this series, or this season, I should say, they made 11 a gimped character, as I like to call them. Just like in D&D, when you roll, you're rolling the dice and you're rolling up your character, and you roll one with particularly low stats. A lot of times people will ask the DM, you know, can I re-roll that because that's just gonna suck. They're gonna be weak. They're gonna be, and as a player, I never do that. If I roll whatever I roll and I play that character, and if it's a gimped character, I use all those weaknesses in building the backstory and playing that character, role playing that character. And if they get killed, they get killed, and I roll a new one. But that's part of the role-playing aspect is, you know, you play with what you're dealt. And in this season, the showrunners, the people the producers, whatever, director, whatever, writers, they made 11 a gimped character. Now, mind you, I mean, through some of it, we did see her general badassery at times, but when it came down to the nitty-gritty at the end, she was injured, weakened, and out of the fight. I mean, basically. So, I love that they did that, and everybody else had to rally to the cause to save the day. Now, the other thing I like about the whole series of Stranger Things is that they've never, while a lot of families probably watch this together, they've never toned this down for children. It's not really designed for children to watch. I mean, there are people die in this. There is outright hardcore violence in this. There is language. There is elements of anger and rage and things like that those characters might frighten children, small children, and so forth. And even though there's children in the show, it's about children in the show, they've never shied away from that. We have in each of the seasons, we have had death. We've had character deaths, hardcore, and graphic. So I like the fact that they haven't succumbed to say, oh, well, you know, we could draw even bigger audience if we went the Disney route, you know, and kind of toned everything down, you know, but they haven't done that. I really like the fact that they haven't done that. There is the one thing that bothers me about this particular season is that they seemingly have killed off my favorite character. They've killed off Chief Hopper. And if this was the last if this was it, if this was the series finale, I would get that. Now, they do have a little Easter egg at the end there, post-credits or mid-credit roll at the end, where they kind of allude that he might still be alive somehow. It's possible they're dangling that little carrot or whatever, you know. Which, maybe he is, but I think it's pretty doubtful. I think that's just, there's going to be a twist there when they mention that, oh, there's an American, you know, in custody in Russia. I don't think it's him. I think it's somebody else. It's going to be a surprise for us or something. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it is Hopper, and I hope he comes. I hope he's part of I hope 11 gets her powers back and figures out a way that they're gonna make their way to Russia and try and rescue him or some shit like that. That'd be awesome, you know. So who knows? But all in all, I enjoyed it. As a guy who grew up in the 80s, all the nostalgia, I guess I'm probably part of the target demographic, because just like with Ready Player One, I gobbled that stuff up, man. I mean, all the references to all the 80s stuff is very reminiscent for me to be able to think back. And like when they were showing the mall scenes and they were talking about how absolutely intricate or integral in society the mall scene was in the 80s, they're not exaggerating. If you're not old enough to have experienced that in the 80s when they started building malls everywhere, because that was what anybody wanted to do, especially teenagers, go to the mall. That was it. I mean, what are you going to do this weekend? We're going to the mall. That was what you did as a teenager. If you lived somewhere near a beach or something, you might go to the beach and everything, but you know, you'd always end up back at the mall at some point. That was what everybody did. And it really brought back a lot of memories of me and my buddies going there, and you know, you're trying to scope on chicks. You're trying to figure out if you've got enough money to go to Sbarro and get some good pizza, or to go to Mrs. Fields and get some good cookies, or go to C's Candy and get a couple pieces of C's. You're figuring out how much money you got and what you can get to eat, you know, or do you want to forego even getting that slice of pizza and going to Spencer Gifts and seeing if you can pick up some little trinket that you've had your eye on at Spencer Gifts? Or were you, if you're nerdy like most of us were and into D&D and everything, you'd always find yourself over at Waldenbooks and looking through the game modules, the D&D modules and stuff, and seeing, well, maybe I've got enough to grab one of these. Hey, I know I've got just enough, and you're doing the math in your head, and you're like, I can get this module. I got to add tax on there. So yeah, even with tax, I can get this module and I can still get a slice of pizza and a cookie at the food court. You did that. I mean, that was our life. That's what we did. And before we went to the mall, we tried to figure out a way to squeeze out another $1 or a couple bucks from our parents to do a chore or something like that, to take that extra little bit of money to go to the mall and do those things. So that part of it was fantastic. It'll be interesting to see, now that they've left Hawkins, supposedly, at least majority of them have left Hawkins, and see if there's going to be a season 4, where they're going to go with this. Is Hopper still alive in Russia? What are they going to do about it? Is Elle going to get her powers back? All that stuff. So, anyway, all in all, I really enjoyed it. I think they made some smart choices, and I would like to see a season 4. I hope they do. I hope Hopper is still around. But anyway, that's just my take on it. I don't know what the next video is going to be. I got a couple of, during the Steam sale, I got a couple of gifts from a subscriber. I think him and his wife sent me 4 games on the Steam sale. One of which, real quick, we'll see how many people are still watching, because one of them was Morrowind. And I have Morrowind on disc, from way back somewhere. I've got it. I do have Morrowind, and I did play Morrowind way back in the day when it first came out on disc. But I do not have it on Steam, and he sent it to me. But I cannot get that thing to run. I have tried everything. I've tried every compatibility mode. I've tried running it directly from the file on my hard drive instead of trying to run it through Steam. I've gone on to the forums and seen that other people have had the same problem, and some of them have been able to fix it with compatibility mode. Some have not. Some still can't run it. And apparently I'm in that boat. Maybe you have a fix that I'm not aware of, that I didn't see on the forums or something I'm not doing. I have a Windows 7 rig. I do not have Windows 10. I'm still on Windows 7. I love Windows 7, so the 64-bit version, of course. And so maybe there's something I'm not doing. I don't know. But the other ones that they gave me, I am going to try out. Spec Ops. I think it was Spec Ops. I want to say Spec Ops 2. And Just Cause 3. And then Grimrock. I think it's Legends of Grimrock, which I have not played. But I hurt my hand a little bit. I was working on my garage over the 4-day weekend, and I hurt this thumb right here, my mouse thumb. I'm not sure how I did it. There's a tendon in your thumb right there, and I somehow strained the shit out of it. And it's been really bugging me lately. I actually been taking Advil the last couple of days because it's been hurting so bad. I even fixed that table right there. There was no center support when we built it, and it was sagging in the middle, so I had to build some legs to go under there, and I did that, and so that was part of it, along with everything else I did in the garage. And somehow I strained that thumb, and it aggravates it using the mouse too much, so I've chosen to kind of back off for a little bit. But I'm sure I'll be back in fighting shape here in a little bit to be able to get back and do some more gaming, and maybe do some in-game footage, or at least do reviews of those games that were sent to me. So that's it, guys. We'll catch you on the flip side.